Hey everyone, it's Gina here from orchidandopal.com. I'm back with another bezeling tutorial, and this time I'm going to show you how to bezel an 8mm crystal chaton stone like the one you see here in my hand. This has the pointed back. Some of them have a more rounded back, but in this one I will show you how to bezel this in square stitch using two sizes of Miyuki seed beads, the size 11/0 and 15/0. And also how to encase that back so that point back there is covered and not sharp. So we're going to be using the two different colors of Miyuki seed beads, and these are the 8mm Krakovski crystal chatons. You can get those at Eureka Crystal Beads. This color is called Green Sphinx. It's really, really pretty, and they've got all different colors in their shop. But I'll be coming back with another tutorial that builds on this technique. So I just wanted to do a basic tutorial first to show you how to actually just build up this foundation, because you can use this in a number of different types of designs and use those seed beads that are so neatly wrapped and sewn around these crystals to add on to in so many different ways. So if you'd like to get started with me, go ahead and grab your 11/0 seed beads, cut off a comfortable length of beading thread, and I'll be using the size 6-pound, 0.006 inch diameter Fireline today. And you'll need a size 11 beading needle and possibly even a size 12, which will make it easier to get through some of those smaller 15/0 seed beads when we get to that point. So if you'd like, gather up your materials, thread your beading needle, and we will jump into this tutorial. All right, guys, to get started, we're going to pick up a total of 18 11/0 Miyuki seed beads. And I'm not going to use a stop bead. I'll show you. I'm just going to hold the thread when we get to that point. I've got 6, 7, 8. And I do believe that's 18 on my needle. So once you have 18, go ahead and thread them down. Leave yourself a 6-inch tail thread. And then just sew back through the very first bead you added only. And I'm going to hold that tail thread with my thumb and my forefinger while I pull my working thread with my other hand and bring those beads into a loop just like this. So the reason I want to mention that I'm using Miyuki seed beads is that they are, first of all, they're a great brand. They're very uniform. Also mildly slimmer than the Toho seed bead brand. So that's to say, you know, it can make a difference when you're wrapping some of these tiny crystals. And what I found is that 18 seems to work perfectly for these chaton stones when using the Miyuki brand. You'll probably be okay when using other ones, but you might have to play around with that. The important thing when you're doing any kind of square stitch bezel is you want to start out with the number of seed beads that just fits around the circumference of the widest part of that stone at the top. So that's how we arrived at 18. But let's move on. So I'm going to hold this with my thumb and my forefinger and turn it this way while I add some more beads. And we're going to add our beads in square stitch one at a time. So coming out of this seed bead right here, I'm going to pick one up and sew down through the seed bead we're coming out of, plus one more. And when we pull our thread, that new seed bead sits next to the one that we just went through there. And we're coming out of this one that's below that, and we're in place to add our next seed bead in square stitch. So we'll pick one up, this time go through that new seed bead we just added. It's hanging out over there on the right. Give that a pull, and once again hang on to that tail thread nice and tight. And now we have two beads in 2 rows sitting right next to each other. Now we're going to swing back down through the bead directly on our left, plus the next one, and plus one more. That'll get us in place to add another one. And we're going to follow the same process all the way around our bezel. And these 2 rows are going to form the sides. So this time I went up just the 1 seed bead we had just added there. I'm going to go directly over to the left and head down through that seed bead next to it, through the next one, and through one more. And just gently pull that thread, and it's going to sit in place right in between those beads, nice and neat. And we'll keep going. So pick up a new one, go up through the new seed bead on the right, and then head back down directly over to the bead on the left, down the next one, and plus one more. Just like that. So we've got 4 of our seed beads in place. We're going to do that for the remainder of the loop. And I'm going to speed up this portion as we go around. We'll meet back right as we get to that last seed bead. All right, so we've got one more bead left to add. You can see that I've got 17 of them in place and have both sides of the thread pulled nice and tight. I'm gonna pick up my last one, number 18, and go up through the bead on the right like we've been doing. Just get that in place. I'm gonna sew over directly to the bead on the left and go down through those 2, and plus I'm gonna go down through the next one, and that's what's gonna connect this loop of beads together. And pulling that, we're in place now to go up through the bead on the right and continue by going up through the next bead on the right. That thread's going to sit right in place there as we pull that. I'm going to pull on the working thread and the tail thread. And our second row is just a little bit looser, but all the beads are in place and we've closed the loops. So right now what we're going to do is go back in, do another row of square stitch, this time using our size 15-0 seed beads. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller. It's going to start to wrap around our crystal, but we're not going to place it yet. So let me get these 11-0s out of the way, grab my 15-0s, and we'll get started on our next row. All right, so in this row, coming out of this 11-0 seed bead right here, I'm going to pick up a new 15-0. And I'm going to go up through the 11-0 that we're coming out of and pull this tight so that the new 15-0 sits directly next to the 11-0, just like that. Now we'll take our needle and go down through the new 15-0 we just added and pull tight. And you can see the 15-0 is in line with those other 2 11-0s. Right there, and we're ready to pick up another 15-0. So we've got our next one. We're going to head directly over to the left, and for this one we'll go up through that next 11-0 as well. Pull that. Now we've got 2 seed beads in place, 2 15-0s next to our 11s, and I'm going to go down through the 2 new 15-0s and pull. Let's keep going with the third. We'll pick up a new 15-0. So directly over to the left and through one more 11-0. Pull. And then go over to the right and down through the two new 15-0s. We're going to keep doing that all the way around. Got our new 15-0. Up through the one on the left plus one more. Pull it in place. And then down through the two 15-0s on the right. And just be sure to pull those tight after each addition. And once again, that second row of 11-0s is still a little loose, but it's okay. We're going to be tightening this up as we go. So right now, just keep going with your 15-0s and get all of those in place all the way around. And we'll meet back as we get to the beginning of that row again. All right, so welcome back again. Hopefully you've gotten to this point. We've almost gotten 3 rows completed. I left that one open so we could finish this one up together. It's so tiny, it's kind of hard for me to hold it, but I'm doing the best I can. So let's see. All right, we're gonna pick up our last one, that 15-0, go through the next one that's in place, and pull tight, go up through, we'll go up through the 2 on the left, and pull, and let's head directly over. I'm gonna use my thread as a guide. It's gonna sit right in there, and let's go directly over and through that next 15-0, and continue sewing through the 15-0s that are already in place, as many as your needle will allow you to at one time, and pull tight. This is going to sit directly on top of the crystal, so we're just getting this into its beautiful, round, uniform, tight shape. It's going to hold the crystal in place. We're just going around all those 15-0s to reinforce them and tighten them up so there's really no wiggle room at the top. So you're just going to go around at least one more time and be sure to pass the point where you started so that they form for sure into a loop. And if you need to, you can switch to a size 12 beading needle, which is a little bit smaller. If you're having any trouble getting through those beads, definitely don't want you to break any while you're going through this process. All right. I might go through a couple more. And that's probably going to be just fine. We can always use our tail thread that's left over to tighten any areas up at the end as well. So at this point, with my thread coming out of this 15-0, I'm going to go directly over to the 11-0 that's to the right of that, and I'm going to go down. It's going to hide that thread in between the beads, and I'm going to go up through the 11-0 next to that. On the right, I'm just weaving through this bezel to get my needle over to the other side. so we can complete the bottom portion. Pull tight. And then at this point, we can put our crystal in place because we've got that shaped up very nicely. So I'm going to take my crystal and face down. Just going to place that right in the center of the bezel and just play around with it a little bit until you get that directly in the center. And that back point is sticking up there, but it also is kind of helpful because we can have something to hang on to as we're getting that centered. And taking a little peek at the front of our bezel, you can see that that crystal will be in there tightly. It's not going to fall out for sure. Those beads are enough to hold that in place. Let's flip it back over. Oh, let me recenter that crystal. And now we're going to complete another row of square stitch using our 15-0s only, like we just did this time with our crystal in place. And I'm going to hold it like this. You may hold that in different ways depending on what's comfortable for you. I'm going to hold it like this, the front of my crystal, heading out toward the left. And right now I've got my thread, it's coming up out of this 11-0 here. I'm going to pick up a new 15-0 and sew up through the next two 11-0s. I've got a new 15-0 in place there. I'm going to pick up a new 15-0. Going in this direction this time, I'm going to go down through the new 15-0. And pull directly to the left up through the next two plus one more. Pull tight, pick up a new 15-0. Down through the one right there that we just added, directly over to the left up through these two plus one more. And pull. And you can see these are going to start to bring the back of the bezel together towards the point of the crystal. They're going to be able to sit right in place and tighten that bezel up. But for now, we are just concerned about getting the new beads in place. They will shape up as we go. And give this a little turn so it's a little easier for me to hold. I'm going to speed up the remainder of this row and we'll meet back once we get to the beginning again. All right, so hopefully your bezel is looking something like this. We're at our very last 15-0. I'm coming down out of this 11-0 here, picking up the final 15-0, going up that one on the left, pulling, And I'm going to go through those two on the right plus one more, which is going to join our bezel together in that spot. Holding that with my thumb and my forefinger, pulling my working thread tight. And now I'm going to head over through that 15-0 on the left. So you should have something like this, and with your beads pulled in place, you can see now for sure those 15-0s are sitting on top of the crystal and starting to hold that in place on the back. And we've just got one more row we're going to complete to cover up that point like I was saying earlier. And for that, we can bring in our 11-0s again. And we are done with our 15-0s. And what we're going to do is attach one 11-0 to every 3 15-0s in square stitch on this back row. So we're going to pick up an 11-0, and I'm coming up out of this 15 right here, but count down 2 more, 1, 2, and catch that third one. So for this one, you're going to go up through 3 15-0s with that new 11-0 that you have placed, and now return down through the new 11-0 that you added. Now pick up a new 11-0, and it might be hard to see, but hopefully not. Our 11-0 that we just placed is wrapped around these 3 15-0s. Now with our new 11-0, we're going to wrap around the 3 below that. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1 around those 3. So I sewed up through those, and I'm going down through the 11-0 that we just added. Picking up a new 11-0, counting down 3 beads from the previous cluster and sewing up through all 3 of those 15-0s. There's our third one in place. We'll sew down through the new 11-0, pick up another 11-0, and count 3 down from that cluster. Sew down through the new 11-0. And we're going to do this 2 more times. So picking up an 11-0, going up through those 3 15s, going back down through the 11-0, sitting that loosely in place at the moment. And we've got one more we'll pick up. And you should have 3 remaining 15-0s that you hadn't already gone through. So we're going up those, and then we'll go back down the new 11-0. Pull tight. And now we get to start to tighten up this bezel really well around the crystal. First of all, we're going to keep sewing around the 11-0s that we just placed on the very back. And you might find you can go through 2 at a time pretty easily. So just go through those and go around that section multiple times, pulling your working thread as you go and making sure you don't skip any beads. And then for final round, I'm going to go through 1 at a time and just pull really tight after each one I pass through. All right. So the back looks good. I still have a little bit of wiggle room on the sides, which is fine. Like I said, that's where we're gonna use our remaining working thread and tail thread to tighten those up. So you just follow the thread path. I'm gonna go back through those 3 15-0s that were attached to the 11-0 I was coming out of. I'm gonna actually go around the row of 15-0s again. Just a little easier to do this once all the beads have been placed. And you'll just keep reinforcing these rows until you're satisfied with how tight everything is. And if you go around this enough, you really don't have to make half-hitch knots, but you can if you want to, hiding them in between your beads. You can also use a thread burner to burn off any remaining segment of thread if you'd rather do that rather than making knots. All right. That row is pretty tight. Go through a few more. And I'm gonna head down through the next row going in the other direction. And once again, just go through a few beads at a time and tighten that up. So just keep going until you are satisfied with that and you either use up your remaining thread, depending on how much you had in the first place and how much you have left now. But you can see with the front of the crystal there, with all the beads in place, it's looking really good. I'm gonna keep tightening this up just a little bit and get rid of the excess threads, and we'll meet back and admire our work. All right, and there we have it. So here we have 2 of our chatons wrapped in the size 15 and 11-0 Miyuki seed beads. Nice and tight. Wouldn't these make such a cute little pair of stud earrings just as they are? And I love that Sphinx crystal in green. Again, those are the Krakovski brand you can find at Eureka Crystal Beads. They've got tons of crystal chatons in the 8mm size, and these happen to be one of my favorite. I love how they look too, encased in that metallic champagne color. I will link to everything right down below the video. You can find all those products and much more at Eureka, so don't forget to check that out. Also, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if you gave these a try and how it went, or anything else you'd like to say. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because, like I said, I'll be coming back with another tutorial showing you how you can add on to this basic type of design and bezel to create something even more special. And also feel free to give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd greatly appreciate that. I hope to see you guys again real soon. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.